Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, by far the biggest trial of the year. Inside the courtroom in Fairfax County, Virginia, one of the world's biggest movie stars, Johnny Depp, going after his ex, Amber Heard. Johnny suing Amber for defamation based upon an op-ed in the Washington Post with her byline. An op-ed in which she claimed to be a victim of domestic violence. So, for 7 weeks, the jury heard the intimate details of Johnny's and Amber's lives and their dysfunctional relationship. The most crucial testimony coming from Amber Heard. Because if the jury believed her, the case was over and Johnny would lose.
You slipped up there, didn't you, Miss Heard? You let it slip out that TMZ had been alerted to your filing of the domestic violence restraining order, didn't you?
I disagree. That's not what I'm talking about.
But after being cross-examined by Camille Vasquez, the jury did not believe Amber Heard, and she lost. Tonight, part 2 of our inside look at Johnny Depp's legal team. Camille Painter sits down to speak with Camille Vasquez, while Johnny's lead attorney, Ben Chu, joins us live as we get insight into the preparation and inner workings of Johnny Depp's legal team. I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us tonight. Part 2 of our special look at Johnny Depp's legal team in the biggest trial of the year. I want to give you a quote as I start tonight, a line that I heard so many times growing up. Isn't it true? Isn't it true? Isn't it true? Coming from, of course, Perry Mason. And what was so significant about that? That was really my introduction to cross-examination. Because Perry Mason was a defense attorney, so he would cross-examine witnesses and always start with, isn't it true X, isn't it true Y, isn't it true Z? And by the end of the trial, he had uncovered the truth through cross-examination. That's the real test. That's the real test of any witness's credibility. So Johnny Depp v. Amber Heard, we heard what Amber said on the stand, that she was a victim. She claimed she was a victim. And that was her direct examination. And they methodically went through all of that, trying to lay out this story for the jury. And ultimately, it was Amber Heard's credibility that was on trial in Fairfax County, Virginia. It was. If they believe her, she wins outright. But what happened, folks? Camille Vasquez pulled a Perry Mason with her cross-examination of Amber Heard. Her credibility destroyed, Amber Heard's case breaking and crumbling apart, and Johnny Depp winning. So, as we continue to take a look inside Johnny Depp's legal team, Camille Painter sat down with Camille Vasquez and talked about the cross-examination of Amber Heard. Let's watch.
How beneficial was it to depose Amber before you actually cross-examined her?
Oh, really beneficial. I mean, I deposed her for 1 day and Ben bookmarked me, so he did the first and third day. I studied her. I watched her deposition tape during the divorce.
Is it your testimony that a police officer on May 21 told you that it appeared you looked hurt?
He or she gestured, I can't remember which one, to my face and said, we can tell you've been hurt or you don't look good or something to that effect, but I don't remember the exact words they used.
And then I sat there when Ben was doing the deposition and I just watched her. I watched her mannerisms, her speech patterns, the word choice, and I started learning her.
What was your strategy and preparation in going into this cross? Because you knew early on that you were going to be the one, right?
It was about confronting her with her own words. I wanted every single question to tie back to something she had said, either in a recording or had testified to under oath. Good afternoon, Ms. Heard.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Depp hasn't looked at you once this entire trial, has he?
Not that I've noticed, no.
He promised you you would never see his eyes again. Isn't that true?
I don't recall if he said that.
One of the first questions your counsel asked you on direct is, why are you here? Do you remember that?
I do.
Let's please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 357A, which is already in evidence, Your Honor.
See what the jury and judge think. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence. And yes. It's a fair fight. And see how many people believe or side with you.
Mr. Depp is your victim, isn't he?
No, ma'am.
And once he left you, you continued to abuse him publicly by calling him an abuser, didn't you?
He is an abuser, and you can look either of us up online and figure out who's being abused online.
I think one of the strongest moments of your cross was when you put photo after photo on the screen and asked Ms. Heard about that photo.
This is a picture of you and Mr. Depp at the event the night after Mr. Depp allegedly whacked you in the face so hard you thought he had broken your nose.
He did whack me in the face.
This is a picture of you at the same event the night after Mr. Depp allegedly whacked you in the face so hard you thought he broke your nose.
This is a picture of me after he did whack me in the face.
The night after, right?
Yes, it is.
This is you in the backless dress at the Mordecai premiere in Tokyo, right?
That is correct.
You would agree that there are no bruises or visible marks on your back in this picture?
No, not that I could see.
I give a lot of credit to my partner, Wayne Dennison, for that. We needed to, again, give an explanation to the jury as to why Johnny wasn't looking at Ms. Heard throughout her testimony, and we did that by pointing that out and, again, giving them an answer. I didn't want them to go into that deliberation room and have any questions. And then Wayne said to us in the war room, he said, just answer the question that everyone has. Did he abuse her or not? You start with the pictures, obviously.
That's a photo of you opening your mouth on the right?
That's correct.
And again, a larger view of the same photo on the bottom?
That's correct.
With a split lip?
You've seen pictures of it without makeup.
And he's right, juries are incredibly visual. They needed to see those pictures.
What about the pictures she brought forth that did show red or discoloration?
The ones that were altered?
The extractions we were provided were backups of iTunes, just exports. So it's third generation, and there is no way to verify the file paths and the history of any single photo that we've looked at.
Those weren't so concerning to me. I mean, we had police officers trained in domestic abuse responding within minutes of an alleged violent assault with a cell phone, and they don't see anything. They don't see swelling. They don't see, a red mark. What they see is redness that they associated with crying.
Do you see a red mark on Amber Heard's cheek and above her eyelid and above her eyebrow on this picture?
Her face looks flushed, yes, redness.
Okay. And what is your perception of what that is caused by?
Like I said earlier, it's consistent with what I seen her crying.
During the cross of Amber, anything surprise you?
Yes, she came off angry at some of the questions. And that was surprising to me, but also I thought really helpful for our case, because I think the jury got to see, at least in our opinion, who the real Amber Heard was.
Did you ever see a tear?
I did not see a tear during the trial.
Joining me now in Washington, D.C., trial attorney, partner with Brown Rudnick, LLP, and the lead attorney who represented Johnny Depp during his defamation case, Ben Chu. Back with us, Ben. Great to see you. Thanks again for being here for part 2 of this as well. I have to ask you, during the cross-examination of Amber Heard, you're the one seated next to Johnny Depp. What's going on there? Is he giving notes? Is he giving any reactions to things that she is saying that you're able to use?
Yeah, Johnny was very much involved throughout the trial. He would give us notes that we would use. They were always spot on. As Camille referenced, he did tell her, he promised her that he would never look her in the eye again. So he he kept to his words. He never would look up to her. He didn't want to give her that benefit after what she had done to him.
How revealing do you think this cross-examination was? You know, because to me, Johnny Depp testified, I get it, but to me, the case was really about what she said, because it was her words and her credibility. At the end of the day, I thought was what the entire case was about.
I completely agree. I think it was the linchpin of the entire trial, and we decided fairly soon after Amber's 3-day deposition that she was the right person to do it, and she did a masterful job. It was, you know, all of us had input into it. Johnny had input into it, but it was really Camille who put it all together. And one of the things that she really did so well is she never came across as mean. As she said in the interview with Chanley, she was really taking Ms. Heard's own statements and her own actions and asking her to explain them. And frankly, there was no good explanation for them.
You know, the one thing that Camille said that really struck me was that the way Amber Heard came across, the demeanor, sort of angry at some of the questions. Were you surprised as well? Because, I mean, the bottom line is Johnny Depp, your client, is an actor. She's an actor. You know, you want the jury to like you. You want to seem likable. Were you surprised that in the way that she came off when responding to questions about her own words?
I was surprised. I was surprised to see the anger. I think the anger was real. I think when people get caught in untruth, they tend to be angry. I mean, you can see it, you know, throughout our own life experience. I thought, particularly when she came off the stand after the redirect, I think she realized the redirect did not come across well, and the chief judge had to remind Ms. Heard twice that she could go sit next to her counsel, you know, having come off the stand after completing her testimony. And instead of sitting down next to her counsel, she stormed out of the courtroom. Now, that was something that was shocking to all of us. I'd never seen anything like that in my 34 years of practice. It came across to me as incredibly disrespectful to the court, to her own counsel, and frankly, to the jury.
And revealing, I think revealing, because you're judging someone's credibility, you're judging who they are. And I think that really came across through the testimony and especially the cross-examination. All right, Ben Chu is with us the whole hour. When we come back, we've got more of Chanley's interview with Camille Vasquez, plus coming up next hour.
In Moscow, Idaho, it's been more than a month since 4 college students were stabbed to death inside their off-campus residence. So far, no suspects and no arrests. But now, new information being uncovered showing what was happening near the house where the murders took place. Body cam footage from an unrelated incident. Tonight, we break down what we can see and hear in the background.
Yeah, you're free to go. Are these your boys?
No, I don't know them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hawk, the charge filed against you today is child abuse resulting in death.
An unlicensed Nebraska midwife charged in the death of an infant.
It certainly gives you an indication of what her thoughts are on the laws.
My client did everything she could. She has every right to be there.
Now it's up to a judge to decide her fate.
The midwife delivery death trial. Live coverage weekday mornings at 9/8 Central on Court TV. 4800.
Welcome back. I want to let you know that Court TV has reached out to Amber Heard's legal team from this defamation trial multiple times for an interview, and our requests were denied. There's a standing invitation for them to sit down and talk with us about their side of the case. We'll see if they respond. In the meantime, Johnny Depp's legal team did invite us up to New York, and Camille Vasquez sat down with Chanley Painter for an interview. Let's show you more of that as we get more insight into what happened in Depp v. Heard.
Which of the witnesses presented the most challenges for your team?
She didn't have many live witnesses, right? I would say it was probably Dr. Hughes.
The main opinion is that Ms. Heard's report of intimate partner violence and the records that I reviewed is consistent with what we know in the field about intimate partner violence, characterized by physical violence, psychological aggression, sexual violence, coercive control, and surveillance behaviors.
I think Whitney, her sister, we were concerned about that, but I think Rebecca did a fantastic job, and she was very ill, as you might recall. But I think she did a really beautiful job of showing the jury that these were two sisters that truly cared for one another and were going to support each other no matter what, in a delicate, really graceful way.
And she helped support you? In part. I also was working myself, and yeah.
And you're grateful to her for being there when you needed her, right?
Of course.
And just like she protected and cared for you, you want to protect and care for her, right?
And when I can, of course, but yeah.
And as you mentioned, most of Amber's witnesses weren't live, including some of her friends. Why do you think that is?
I think, as we said in closing arguments, this is a person that burns bridges.
Sitting here today, do you still consider Ms. Heard a friend?
I wouldn't consider her not a friend.
What does that mean?
We don't speak. We are not enemies.
When did you first tell Ms. Heard that you were no longer interested in having her as a client and being friends with her?
Well, I just told Amber that, I wish her well and I just have no interest in continuing a relationship.
I don't think these people were her friends anymore. And I understand they testified the way they did, but most of them had already given testimony during the divorce, had been deposed during the case, and so they were locked in to a version of what they claim happened. And that's not to say that they were lying or not telling the truth. Something else that's really important to note here is none of these people saw abuse, not one.
One of my favorite parts of the trial was watching you keep your finger on the microphone. And you would literally object to every question Elaine Bredhoff asked.
Trying to say that...
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
He was drinking...
Calls for speculation and leading.
To sedate
Objection,
you?
Your Honor, hearsay.
Did the table collapse?
Yes, it did.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Because he didn't share it until this date.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Was that dark colors before, or?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
I said, was that dark colors before?
I'll sustain the objection.
There was no way we could have predicted that redirect was going to go so badly for them. I mean, it really seemed like she had put it together at the last minute. It was some notes that she had on a notepad. There's a part of me that almost feels badly for her as a colleague. What I remember about that redirect was, I think at one point she said, "I'm trying here, I'm trying." And I looked over to that side, and no one was helping her. They were all just, in their seats, looking down, and I felt so badly because our team was incredibly different. They knew every question. They were predicting the answers. They had the evidence, page and line, ready to go. It was just such a different process. I felt supported. It was shocking how ineffective that was.
Why did you tweet about the makeup and Mr. Waldman?
Because he was calling me a liar and a hoaxer and that this was an elaborate hoax just to get Johnny.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question. Next question.
Yeah, okay. I don't have any more questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right. Ma'am, you can have a seat next to your attorney.
How would you evaluate her as a witness?
I don't think she came off particularly likable or credible. I think the fact that she didn't own up to anything caused major concerns for the jury.
There was evidence of violence, even still. So how would you explain that?
Well, there was a victim of domestic violence in this relationship, and we say it was Mr. Depp. The person that ended up in the hospital after Australia was Johnny Depp. The person with any injury was Johnny Depp. The only person with medical records in this case was Johnny Depp. I mean, it was a violent relationship, except she was the aggressor.
She threw the large bottle, and it made contact and shattered everywhere. And I honestly didn't feel the pain.
He told Dr. Kipper that Amber had cut off his finger, and he said that only to Dr. Kipper as he was treating this bleeding finger. And we thought that qualified for the medical emergency exception to hearsay, and it did not come in. And, you know, to us, that was a key moment, because he didn't want to tell anyone, but he felt he needed to tell his doctor that was literally treating his finger on, you know, in a car, that she had cut it off by throwing a bottle at him.
Big part of the case. Ben Chu's still with us, Johnny Depp's lead attorney. Ben, let me ask you this, because I was in the courtroom as well, and there's a gallery, and it's like everyone there was there for Johnny Depp, you know, other than the media who's covering it, but the regular folks who showed up, all for Johnny Depp. You walk outside, people are cheering. Did it feel like a home game? Did it? Because, you know, I grew up playing sports, and you get the crowd going, all of a sudden it helps you, you know, play harder. Does that have any impact on a lawyer in the middle of a trial?
It really didn't, Vinny. We were really focusing on Her Honor, the judge, of course, and the jury. And irrespective of what the people were doing outside in the hallway or outside the courtroom, our real focus was on the jury and getting our work done. So it really didn't have the feeling of a home game, as you say, because what we were really focusing on were the people who were going to decide Johnny's fate.
How about this, though? Did it energize you at the end of the day when you get cheered and then you got to go back and do more work to prepare for the next day? Did it give you a little boost of adrenaline, maybe?
That it did. And seeing the alpacas out there dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow and the level of detail and love that was put into the alpacas, yes, it did make it easier to work the late nights back at the hotel.
So the other big contrast between Johnny Depp testifying and Amber Heard, from my perspective, was the level of comfort. Like, Johnny Depp looked very at ease and comfortable. Amber Heard looked extremely uncomfortable. Why do you think that was while they were testifying?
Well, my perception is Johnny was at ease with himself because he was telling the truth. And even though there was a lot of focus and a lot of pressure on him, at the end of the day, when you're telling the truth, you don't have to remember things. You just tell the truth. And Johnny, you know, at the beginning, we talked about this a little bit last night. He was prepared. We told him that this was going to be an ordeal and that everything was going to, you know, the worst recesses of his life were going to be exposed. And I think once he steeled himself to that, he was confident that he was doing the right thing and that he was going to tell the truth. And I think that gave him some peace. I mean, he has an amazing way of finding humor in the macabre. I mean, when his finger was cut off, for example, and we would all look down, you know, out of respect, and he would say, "Oh, I call it Little Richard." You know, I mean, he has a nickname for his finger, and that's just the kind of guy he is. He finds humor. He wants to put other people at ease, and you know, at the end of the day, I think he came across as who he actually is.
Big difference. I mean, stark contrast. All right, Ben Chu's going to stay with us. When we come back, we will have more of Chanley Painter's interview with Camille Vasquez. Don't go anywhere.
Jim Silver.
Welcome back. We're taking an inside look at Johnny Depp's legal team tonight, part 2 of our special here. And Chanley Painter sat down with Camille Vasquez. Let's watch more of her interview here, talking a little bit about the jury.
How important was jury selection in this trial?
Incredibly important. I mean, they were the decision makers at the end of the day. I had an idea of the type of jurors that I wanted. It's not what we got. I really thought that women were going to be better for us. And I just figured that women have, call it a sixth sense, right, for evaluating if someone is telling the truth or not. I was afraid that if Miss Heard was incredibly sympathetic and started to cry, that some members of the jury that were male were going to say, oh gosh, make it stop, just give her what she wants. Right. You know, and so I was very concerned about that. But as you know, because you saw the jury, we had a lot of young males on our jury.
But you sat closest to the jury the whole time, right there with Johnny. They could see everything you guys were doing. I know that's something as an attorney sitting up there you want to be cognizant of.
I always had a woman next to him.
Why was that important?
Again, I wanted to make sure the jury saw that we liked each other as people, but that none of us on the team were afraid of him, because we weren't. And, you know, Ben was always to his right as lead trial counsel, and then I always put a woman next to him.
What do you remember generally of that jury panel?
I think they took their job very seriously, as they should, right? And they came in every day, they listened to that evidence, they took notes. There really wasn't anyone falling asleep. I mean, it was entertaining. I'll give them that. But, you know, I give them so much credit, and I'm so grateful to them, and I know Johnny is as well.
Do you think his star power and appeal influenced the jury?
No, I don't. And I say that because we're dealing with 2 stars. I mean, she's a beautiful woman who's eloquent and intelligent. She's a movie star herself. Do I think Johnny's charisma influenced the jury? Absolutely, but that's who he is. He was natural up there, and I thought it was strange that Miss Heard responded to every question to the jury. And in fact, one of the jurors spoke out anonymously after to Good Morning America and said they found it bizarre and you know, they felt awkward because they couldn't respond to her, obviously. And you probably saw there were 2 jurors that turned away from her while she was testifying. So,
the most surprising moment of the trial?
Probably Kate Moss testifying.
Talk about that. That was a moment that went viral.
I don't hesitate, I don't wait, I just in my head instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs, and I swung at him.
That was, I think, a really surprising moment for all of us, including us, by the way, because when Ben, you know, did the fist pump all around the world, we didn't have her committed. So some of us were actually concerned that I was sending a message, right. And then if we couldn't produce the goods, you know, that wouldn't have been great. Yeah, I remember when Ben stood up that morning and said, Mr. Depp calls Kate Moss.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mr. Depp calls Kate Moss to the stand.
And one of the jurors, she's an alternate, but her mouth actually went wide open. And she immediately looked to the back of the courtroom to see if she was coming in person. And, you know, I thought, wow, that's a name that has quite an impact. She's a friend of Johnny's. She's committed to telling the truth. And again, had been silent for a long time.
He came running back to help me and carried me to my room and got me medical attention.
It just showed that Ms. Heard doesn't care who she involves or hurts or defames. I mean, she was just shameless in the lies. And, you know, that's what I think what was so compelling for Ms. Moss to be able to come forward and say, I've never been involved in any court procedure, ever, but I'm just sick and tired of this.
So let's move outside the courthouse, because it seemed like hundreds of people were showing up to watch this trial unfold. When did you realize this is going viral?
I went to get my Starbucks like I did most mornings, and this sweet girl with like braces called my name, and she, you know, hands me my drink, and then she's like, oh my God, you're Johnny Depp's lawyer, you're Camille, you know, and I was like, what happened? In a matter of sleeping, just like 24 hours, what's happened? I think outside it was surreal and circus-like. I mean, really with animals and people dressed up. But it was a moment in time, something that I will never probably experience again. And it was really heartwarming too, because they were there supporting our client and supporting us. And gosh, you know, everyone could use a little pat on the back. You're doing a good job.
Is being a part of the world's most high-profile trial, does it have a downside?
Personally, sure. Yeah, I think that, look, I went into law because I've never wanted to be quote-unquote famous, or I'm kind of a shy person. I value my privacy. And so, you know, on a personal level, it's been, the loss of anonymity has been overwhelming.
Oh, you can kiss the anonymity goodbye. Ben Chu is still with us. Ben, first thing, the Kate Moss moment. Give us the significance of it all, and because that reaction, I mean, everyone was talking about it. We're still talking about it in our newsroom.
Well, we were excited. We had been frustrated because the judge is very even-handed. She made a lot of exclusionary rulings on both sides. You know, she was incredibly fair throughout the proceedings. But you know, naturally, we wanted to get people like Kate Moss and other women who wanted to testify for Johnny, people who had been involved with him, who could testify to the fact that he would never raise a hand and never had raised a hand, but that was excluded. But then when Amber opened the door, Amber opened the door so the court was able to reconsider her ruling and allow this in on rebuttal, because Amber herself had mentioned Kate Moss. She was trying to excuse her punching Johnny. She said she had to do it because if she hadn't, Johnny would have pushed her sister down the stairs the same way he pushed Kate Moss. And of course, that opened the door. We were very excited about that, and we did not believe that Amber would repeat that lie, but fortunately she did. And she did that in a similar case with the TMZ cameras attending the ex-parte TRO. She had said when she had no idea why the TMZ photographers, paparazzi appeared at that ex-parte TRO hearing. And then, of course, you know, that opened the door to the TMZ witness coming forward and testifying that, in fact, it was Amber's lawyers who told them precisely where to be and where she would be and to photograph all of it. So she was hoisted on her own petard. That's why it was such an exciting moment for us.
And again, going back to your reaction to the courtroom, some of the folks here at Court TV wanted to invite you Friday night to the weekly Court TV poker game, if you want. Anyway,
you would have taken all my money.
Exactly. All right, Ben Chu staying with us. We've got more of Chanley Painter's interview with Camille Vasquez and other members of Johnny Depp's legal team. Still to come. Don't go anywhere. never seen anything like it at a trial. Probably never will again. Oh, although you never know, right? The crowds, the energy outside that courthouse. And this is Fairfax, Virginia. It's not like you're in the middle of a big city somewhere where people just happen to show up. No, they were there for a reason, to see the trial of the year, the trial of the decade, and in my estimation, so far, the trial of this century. Chanley Painter sat down with members of Johnny Depp's legal team. Let's watch more of that interview.
As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." In the Washington Post online edition, quote, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
What does this verdict mean to Johnny Depp? Has he recovered everything that he wanted?
I mean, I think it means everything to him. And it means everything to his children. You know, he did this for his children and to protect his legacy and their legacy, right? I think he's a father, and he's a very good father, and he cares very much for those two kids.
I think this is a type of case where you could have put on a perfect case and still lost. It was tough, right? I mean, it's a tough burden, it's tough issues, but when that first, the first statement, they said, you know, yes. Do they find this was defamatory? And they went through all the yeses. We were all holding each other's hands under the table, and we're just, oh my gosh. And then it was all three, and it was such a relief, but it was just so, we were just really happy for Johnny, honestly.
Anytime you go into a trial, it really comes down to a coin flip. Whether it's a judge deciding it or whether it's a jury deciding it, you don't know for sure how it's going to go. And this was a particularly sensitive case. These were serious allegations. And all it took really was for a few of these jurors to believe Ms. Heard's story, and we could have been in a very bad position. But we put on an intelligent and effective case. And so by the end, I was leaning towards thinking we had it, but confident, no.
Both sides have appealed here. In Amber Heard's brief, she highlights the issue of the split verdict, inconsistent verdict. Yeah. She says the resulting jury verdict against Heard on all of Depp's claims cannot be reconciled with the jury verdict against Depp on Heard's counterclaim. She goes on to say, to find in favor of Depp, the jury must have concluded that Depp did not abuse Heard and that Heard knowingly lied in accusing him of abuse. But to find in favor of Heard, the jury must have concluded that Heard told the truth about being a victim of domestic abuse by Depp. Accordingly, the verdict against Heard cannot stand.
The one statement where the jury found in favor of Ms. Heard is a very specific factual statement. It's not saying generally she lied about being abused. It is saying on this specific night, she did these specific things. And so that can be false, while the claims of abuse overall can be false as well.
There was a published letter by 130 experts in intimate partner violence, domestic abuse type of experts who signed this letter in support of Amber Heard post-verdict, months later, saying that there was this misunderstanding of what the cycle of violence would be and how a victim of domestic abuse would act or come across. What's your reaction to that show of support for Amber Heard?
I think that this is a delicate subject, and I think that there's a natural inclination of people to want to take allegations of abuse seriously. And we all do on this team, and Johnny does take allegations of abuse seriously. I think the core here is that this case was really just about these two people and what happened between these two people. And the evidence that was presented at trial, I think, convinced the jury and convinced a lot of people in the public that Johnny Depp is not an abuser.
Amber Heard released a statement after the verdict, and she's done an interview and even in her appellate brief talking about how this verdict has a chilling effect on possibly discouraging women who are victims of domestic abuse from coming forward afraid of exercising their First Amendment right because of backlash and of facing defamation lawsuits. What's your response to that?
I disagree. I think that the system worked. She just didn't get the outcome she had hoped for. She had her day in court. She had her opportunity to tell her truth. The jury didn't believe her.
Your team has stated this isn't about the money to Johnny Depp. Does he have any intention of even trying to collect the $8.5 million that Amber Heard owes him?
This was never about the money for Johnny. This was always about getting his good name back. And no, I don't think that there's any plan to pursue her or to try to squeeze any money out of her. That's not the goal. The goal was never to punish her. The goal was always to get his name back.
What message do you hope this trial sends?
I hope that it sends the message that words matter and that at the end of the day, all we have is our name, and that deserves to be protected.
I hope it sends the message that domestic abuse doesn't have a gender. I think a lot of the talk about this is how it's a problem for the Me Too movement. I just really don't see that. I think this is a case where there was an allegation, it was taken seriously, both parties got to have their day in court to adjudicate it, and that's justice.
And what's next for Johnny Depp?
I think he's desperate to move on with his life. He's going to tour next with the Hollywood Vampires, another band that he's a member of. And, you know, I think he's really just interested in getting back to work and being surrounded by friends and family without this cloud hanging over him.
Amazing interview, and thank you so much, Camille Vasquez, the rest of the team. And of course, Ben Chu is still with us live tonight. How and when will this whole thing end, right? Because there's the appeal now. Does it ever end?
We hope it does one way or the other. As a great judge in the Fourth Circuit once said, all things must end, even litigation. So we take those words to heart, and if we can resolve it, the sooner the better. I think he's achieved his goal. He's got his life back. He's got his reputation back. And as the rest of my team said, and as more importantly, as Johnny said eloquently during the trial, this really wasn't about money for him.
So let me propose something here. How about, like, she never talks about him again, and you won't pursue the $8.5 million. Everybody walks away, and that's it.
In addition to being a wonderful host, an amazing litigator, you are also a fantastic mediator. So, sounds good.
All right, we have about 15 seconds left here, Ben. What do you think the final message is from this case, from this trial? What the country experienced?
Well, I think Jessica said it best, that domestic violence has no gender. And these allegations should always be taken seriously, but the notion of due process also needs to be taken seriously. And I think the result of this trial is not bad for anyone. I think it's good. I think justice was served, and I think that's good for everybody.
Ben Chu, appreciate your valuable time. I hope you're getting ready to eat dinner. Enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vinny, so much.